Welcome. I'm Bernice Ross, the CEO and president of realestatecoach.com and brokerage up with one of my very longtime friends, Darryl Davis. He's always been, every time I've seen him speak, he's just incredible in front of the room. He's been one of the top speakers in the industry for almost 30 years now. He trains real estate agents on how to be more profitable and run a great business. He's the author of How to Become a Power Agent in Real Estate. And my favorite book you've done, Darryl, though, is How to Design a Life Worth Smiling About. So thank you for being with us today. I'm so delighted to have you with us.
Thank you, Bernice. Thanks for asking me. Thanks for all that you do to make agents better and brokers better at what they do. So appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Well, we're going to be talking about iBuyers today. And the reason I reached out to Darryl is he did a really great article that I saw online, and he really nailed out the issues in a way that's very understandable. When most people talk about iBuyers, for me as an agent, it's kind of like, kind of just comes away over my head. But Darryl, of course, one of his great gifts is to be able to take it down to where we can understand it and really get to it. So Darryl, let's start with, so what is an iBuyer?
Yeah, so there's some companies, Bernice, that have come out in the past 4 years where they basically advertise to the consumer, hey, listen, we can sell your house quickly. You don't have to deal with an agent or showings, and bada bing, it's smooth. You're in control of the transaction, and it's wonderful, and fairies and pixie dust, and it's magical.
I think you summed it up when you said fairies and pixie dust. That's about the size of it, isn't it?
Now let's talk about the truth, though, really what it is. First, so the numbers work basically that they'll buy the house from the homeowner quickly. And so that way the homeowner can move on, excuse me. So that's how they're promoting it. But the truth is, Bernice, they should not be called iBuyers. That is a terrible misnomer. And in our industry, we need to call what it is. And what it is they're iInvestors. See, a buyer buys a house based on emotion. Why? Because they're buying a home to move in and raise a family. These guys, that's not what they're doing. They're buying with a commitment to flip it to make a profit. Now, how do you make a profit? You've got to pay less, you got to pay low, and sell high. So there's the two areas where you're making your profit, by selling it at a high price, but getting it but owning it at a low price. So we're seeing, Bernice, homeowners giving away, when you really do the math, they're giving away 50% of their equity. Not 50% over the retail price, what they would sell for. I don't want to get too convoluted in the math. But when a homeowner buys a property for $400,000, and if it's worth $450,000, they have $50,000 of equity. But if they wind up selling it to an iBuyer for, let's say, $410,000, when you do the math, that equity goes down maybe to $25,000, which is 50% of that homeowner's equity. It is the worst thing to happen to homeowners, this iInvestor thing. So that's the...
Well, you hear people talking about, and, like it's certainly been in a lot of the news services, oh, it's wonderful. And when I was at Real Estate Disconnect in the desert, all those people there, top people in the industry, oh, we're going to do 50 or 60% iBuyers, but that's impossible because of what their model is. Can you say more about that?
Yeah. So first of all, let's look at the numbers. The reason why I believe, and I know we may disagree with this, but I believe we've had a lot of disruptors in the real estate industry and you and I have seen them all, okay? This is another one. And most of the disruptors that you and I have seen, they come as quick as they came, they go just as quick. This iBuyer, it's come and hit quick. And I think it's gonna go just as quick. And here's why. Because you can't keep stealing from people time and time again, expecting that model to work. Because eventually people are going to wake up out of a daze and say, this makes absolutely no sense. I mean, first of all, this is what an iBuyer says. They say, and go to any of their websites and read through, and you'll see what it says. It says, we're going to buy your house based on what we tell you it's worth. Now let's just start there. If a FSBO was going to sell their house and they said easily to a buyer, yes, I'll sell my house to you, whatever you tell me you think my house is worth. So that's number one. Number two is after they agree on the price, then the iBuyer is going to draw up the contracts. Am I wrong, Bernice? Doesn't the seller in a traditional sale write and design the contract for the buyer to sign? Isn't that how we do real estate?
Well, there's certainly a counteroffer process.
Yeah, there's a counteroffer, but for the most part, the seller is the one that says, all right, here's the contract that I'm willing to work with, and here's the terms. No. We have the buyer telling the seller, here's the contract I want you to sign that we had our corporation attorneys design. Take it or leave it. That's the thing. Third thing is, after we agree on the price and the contract, we're going to come in and tell you what we need to have repaired, and you're going to pay for it. So now the seller's got to...
Our inspectors are going to tell you what it is.
Exactly. Because we need to make a profit, you see. So there's so many, and here's the part that really burns me, Bernice, is they say, why pay an agent a brokerage fee? We don't charge a brokerage fee. I did a webinar in this. The webinar that I did, Bernice, I used the screenshot of each one of these websites and what they say and show how it's a lie.
Wow.
I'm going to call it what it is. And it's a lie. They say we don't charge a fee, a brokerage fee, a commission. I'm sorry. We don't charge a commission. We charge a service fee. Now, first of all, to me, a fee is usually like a flat fee, but a commission is a percentage of the money. Well, they're charging a commission. And then the minimum commission you're going to want to pay is 6% to these guys. But in most cases, it's 13, 14%. And they're calling it a service fee, but it's really a commission. So anyway, when you really look at the numbers, homeowners are throwing money away when they sell to these iBuyers. I'm going to say one other thing too about why I think this is not a sustainable model. Is the reason why it's so hot right now is because if you look at Open Door, and let me before I say the number, let me just double check it. Yeah. And in the past 4 years, because I'm looking at my slides, in the past 4 years, they have raised, Open Door, in 4 years, over $1 billion in venture capital money. $1 billion. Bernice, if you gave me $1 billion to go buy real estate, I'm going to buy a lot of real estate. But they haven't proven themselves in being profitable yet because now they got to go in, they got to put these houses on the market, they got to sell the market. If the market doesn't appreciate for their profit, I mean, real estate, is a moving target. So, anyway, so that's what I think about this whole thing. Oh, one other thing. If people haven't heard about the iBuyer thing, the model, where it seems to be working for right now is in the cities where there is cookie cutter. I don't want to make that sound bad.
It's a subdivision where you have a series of models and people can kind of customize model, or it's tract homes essentially. So
tract homes. Okay, good. You said it better than me. So for example, Phoenix is really big. We've got Raleigh, Austin, actually Orlando. So there's certain cities throughout the country where there's these areas where 2 or 3 houses sell. You can basically, without actually going and seeing the house, just looking online, you can kind of get a sense of what the house is worth. So like I did in New York, for example, I went to these websites, each one of them, and I punched in my address to see if they make me an offer. And they said, no, we're not in your area. Probably because no New Yorker would let these people in. But,
your price points are too high because they tend to be in about the 200 to 400 price range, like kind of middle of the market for whatever the given market is, and yours is middle of your market is nowhere under $1 million in most places. So
number one, we're higher end. Same thing wherever the big cities are where it's high end, but also we don't have really these tract home areas, like Las Vegas. They have some tract areas where the houses are pretty much the same or similar. Anyway, so that's where they're going into those cities. Anyway, so I just went off onto a big rant.
Well, but I think that the points you raised are really good ones, though, and especially this one about how much they're taking, which to me is it's robbery. And they say it's a service fee. It's like, one of the things you were going to talk about is how to educate the consumer, but you also are seeing your agents that you're working with using this as a lead generation piece. So how are they using it to get leads?
Yeah. So first of all, let me see if I can zoom in on here on my graph here, so I can, because I'm looking at the Open Door website, for example. And I'll talk about the lead generation. When you go to Open Door, they're comparing the traditional home sale, which is the real estate agent, and then theirs. And they're saying, first of all, they're saying, it really aggravates me when I look at this every time because it's such a lie. They're comparing the real estate agent and their offer. And they start off right away by saying, well, let's see, if you sell it to us for $200 versus if you work with an agent at $200. Well, first of all, no iInvestor is going to pay the same price that a realtor can sell the house for. So right there, that graph that they have is a lie. If a realtor can sell a house for $200, they're going to come in much less right out the gate. So that's her. But then they go through, like I said, the service fee. They're also saying that agents, when you sell with agents, you're going to pay a seller's concession fee off the bat of 2%. That's not true. Not to mention the fact that if there is a seller's concession fee, it's always built in above the agreed price between the buyers and sellers, and we use the seller's concession fee to offset the closing costs. But that's not coming out of the homeowner's pocket. Anyway, the math is all wrong, and they're being dishonest about it. Now, how agents are using this as a lead generation. Some of our students, they're saying, hey, listen, all right, let's go with the flow here. If in my market they're promoting iBuyer and we'll buy your house for this amount, the agent's saying, yeah, we offer iBuyer too. We'll buy your property too. Whatever price that they're giving you, we'll pay you that price too. Because it's such a low price, even if an agent doesn't have the money, they can call me and I'll finance it because it's such a great deal. But here's what winds up happening, Bernice, when they say, hey, listen, if you want to, one agent did a really great video online saying, yes, we offer the iBuyer and here's how it works. But you may want to consider this as an option. Basically, when a homeowner hears the iInvestor option versus the realtor option, the realtor option will always win out. Because if let's say somebody says, well, yeah, but maybe they're willing to throw away some of their equity just to do a quick sale because that's what the iInvestor is promoting. Okay, so an agent can do it just as quick as the iInvestor because the iInvestor number is so darn low. The agent can still get that homeowner to net the same money, maybe even more. If a house is worth $200, you and I both know, and if the average market time to sell a house is 90 days of course, it depends on what city you're at, right? But just using the example of 200, and it would take 90 days to close that deal. Well, if an agent say, hey, listen, let's put it on MLS for 190, and it will sell instantly, and the same time frame as the iInvestor, but when you do 190, they're still going to make more money than that iInvestor. So anyway, so I'm sorry if I'm going all over the place.
No, I think this is what you're explaining is really useful. And I remember when I was at Connect in New York City last January, they said that one of the experts in the area, he says, these iBuyer companies, their worst nightmare is having a big company like KW come in and say, oh, we can do that too. Because, and it's just the strategy you've talked about. It is, gee, we can offer this, and I love your reframe of talking about iInvestor rather than iBuyer. I think that is, I think they need to relabel that. I think that is a brilliant stroke. And, and that's one of the things I loved about that column you did. It was just so spot on, Darryl. Yeah. So how can we educate consumers about this? So do we just need to start saying, well, they talk about iBuyers, but what they're really talking about is iInvestors. But what do I need to do to help my clients understand the difference?
Well, okay. A few things. First of all, I'll say this. My studies show that there is not one sale that has completed with the iInvestor where that homeowner spoke to an agent first, meaning that the homeowner went to the iInvestor, they didn't do any more due diligence, didn't talk to agents or professionals, and they pulled the trigger. So what's important for the real estate industry to do is to educate the consumer before they talk to these iInvestors, okay? Now, a couple of things that they can do. First of all, we're talking, I've gotten my calendar on just this topic, Bernice, has gotten totally booked the rest of this year. Now, it's to teach their members, but I'm trying to encourage also that they should do a educational seminar to the community through the Board of Realtors. I think that is one of the best things that any association can do, because now you can do a community service thing. Now, some of the boards have a problem because some of the iInvestors or the discount, like some of them are actually members. So I'm learning that there's a political, like, whatever problem there. But
welcome to real estate.
yeah, I'm not good with the politics of things. So that's why I'm always in trouble. But, I just, yeah. So,
easier to ask for forgiveness and permission, right, Darryl?
That's it. Listen, I just kind of, I'm like, somebody said I'm like the Columbo of speakers. I am a little floppy.
Description.
Just shoot from the hip, but whoops, sorry. But anyway, so one of the things that they can individually, what an agent can do is put together social media messages to the groups. Like most agents, there's closed Facebook community groups based on their town where they work. So kind of getting the word out saying, hey, if you're considering selling your house, an iBuyer is the worst option. It should be called iInvestor. They can do mailings to their marketplace. They can run ads.
Just to kind of wrap up here, what's your kind of final takeaway for our listeners today?
I think first of all that not to worry. Like some agents are really worried that like this is such a bad thing, right? And I'll tell you one thing. Let me jump to something. Zillow, because Zillow's like always like some people get weird about Zillow, and they're doing the offer, right? Zillow offer. Mm-hmm. But what's interesting, if you go to their website, Bernice, and look at their Zillow offer thing, they keep saying in their comments, their frequently asked questions, yeah, we can do this, but you should talk to an agent. Like they're not throwing agents under the bus like the other companies are. As a matter of fact, on Zillow's offer page, they actually have a comparison side by side. If you were to sell to Zillow offer versus selling with an agent, and the net number is the homeowner makes more money with the agent. They're the only one that I found that was honest about you will make more money with an agent. So they're walking that fine line, Zillow, because they know the agent base is such a big part of their customer base. So anyway, to answer your question, agents should not get freaked out by this. They should get more educated about it. And actually, when they get more educated about it, what they will find is there's a lot of data on these websites that they can use on a listing appointment to actually validate how great paying a 6% commission is when you compare it. So in some regards, you can use this iInvestor to help get more listings at a higher commission. So, and of course, like people, can I tell people our website so if they wanted to see more on this topic?
Sure, absolutely, please do.
Yeah, so if they go to thepowerprogram.com, thepowerprogram.com, all one word, there's a blog. And on the blog, there is a 1 hour webinar that I did that has all the slides and it goes through everything about this particular topic. So,
Oh, this is great. It's a great resource. And the thing that I really loved about what you suggested here, it sounds like if we could just get our hands on the Zillow comparison right there, they were in the marketplace. And people, they consumers, I know agents and companies get upset at them, but consumers trust them. I mean, that's the bottom line. They like their service and they're using it. So when Zillow comes out and says this, this is something that you need to be pointing to, because there's that level of trust there that they have for somebody who's not trying to be the person listing my property right now. They may be doing an iBuyer model, but they're suggesting go interview an agent.
Yeah, yeah. And like you said, too, I think, like Keller Williams and some of the other larger organizations that, they're starting to get into it. But I think from my senses, they're getting into it because they have to, because they don't want to be left behind on what these other companies are doing.
Mm-hmm.
But I really do believe that companies that are just doing this iInvestor, they're going to have to shift their model, be more honest about what they're doing. There is maybe a place for it, but not to the level that they're promoting it. This is not a good thing for homeowners. If somebody is desperate, like somebody who's going to go into foreclosure and they're 6 months behind, and maybe there's that niche for these people. That's where I think it's going to eventually go, in my opinion. So,
well, I certainly, the question is, are there going to be some other models? That's another conversation that will take the place of these models that are currently out there today that are better suited and more benefits to the consumer. Well, Darryl, I want to thank you for being with us today. We've been visiting with Darryl Davis. And again, if you want to know more about this topic, visit thepowerprogram.com. Did I get that right? Yeah, thepowerprogram.com.
Thepowerprogram.com. Yeah, and it's under
Great. And also check out Darryl's books, How to Become a Power Agent in Real Estate. And my favorite, again, is How to Design a Life Worth Smiling About. Darryl, thank you for putting a smile on my face today. And
thank you, Bernice. Thanks for having me.